Don't forget it. One West in my brain, one West in my heart, one West when I finish, one West when I start. Big shine, big glow. I be gone till November, let my bitch know. I'm back by the window, bubbling like Crisco. I need my pockets all swollen like a lymph node. Talking out the side of your neck, get you a slit throat. I stay broke, don't care if I got $1 million. Looking down on me, I put your brains on the ceiling. Fuck kicking down the door, we bout to demo the building. Fake cats all in these groups, I wonder who ya. Shoot ya off your pulpit, hallelujah. 4-pound gun youngin' down like it's a cougar. On my feet, combat boots, or is it Puma? Words spreading around about me, none of it rumor. All truth, very big facts, very large caliber on very small gaps. Compact pistols, ladders, and all that. About to throw the switch in the Nina for rapid fire. Got the 5.7 equipped with the magnifier. Boom shakalaka, equipped with the rim rocker. We ain't really got beef, yeah, Ramak with a bin shot ya. The best rhymer, since Pac and Big Papa. Big llama, big juice, I'm Big Jamba. Quarter tank of gas, I ride like a big timer. No informer, no sweat, not in signer. My conglomerate wreck like King Kong. No Asian pun me, no chink in armor. Remain calm throughout pain that bring drama. Stay focused on things that bring karma. Took all pressure, applied and made diamonds. Stayed true, kept shit pure, my name honored. Paid all dues and debts and kept promise. Make sure you show respect. Pay homage that I'm one West bred, one West vetted, one West pumping through my blood. Don't forget it. One West in my brain, one West in my heart, one West when I'm finished, one West when I start. I said I've been one West bred, one West vetted, one West pumping through my blood. Don't forget it. One West in my brain, one West in my heart, one West when I'm finished, one West when I start. I'm the hottest on the market. Don't make me start it. I'ma pull up in a Spider-Man and Peter Parker. I remember days was trapping out the apartment. Now one West about put me up in a starship. About to fly the friendly skies in this bitch. Spit the truth on the corners and I lie a little bit. I'm a stand-up nigga. I die before I switch. Down, no we up. I'm cool with who I with. I'ma be war the king and stay dangerous. Hold down the biz and fam remain blameless. Now rappers drippy with styles we made famous. First with studs and spikes in any city. Designing charge a stack for shit that can't fit me. Had fringes on my coattail way before Jimmy. Funny how the general ain't even see a penny. Better show respect, get smoked like a chimney. Keep my name out your mouth, don't even think it. Send a real Smith at y'all, no Jada Pinkett. Both ball heads, my grain a $1.50. Lost my man to the game, that pain that stuck with me. Had to find a cheat code to the street though, cause the niggas getting fouled, shooting like a free throw. Keep spitting acid like a Mino, and the nigga be the nicest with a mean flow. Try to ride my wave, you gon' need a speedboat. I'm hot like 100 degrees in a peacoat. Scarf in the sweater, I embark every letter. It's UPK, not a part, but together. Homie, I've been one West bred, one West vetted, one West pumping through my blood, don't forget it. One West in my brain, one West in my heart, one West when I'm finished, one West when I start. One West bred, one West vetted, one West pumping through my blood, don't forget it. One West in my brain, one West in my heart, one West when I'm finished, one West. You'll never see another nigga like this. Used to have that white bitch popping on the night shift. Now I'm one West word sharper than an ice pick. On you rappers' necks and it's feeling like some vice grips. Yeah, that's this light shit. Send my bro a kite quick. Ties of war, we ain't forget about you. Keep your light lit. Rappers can't see. Most of them scared to witness. Go and close your eyes. There's one right here for the trenches. Bad bitches, natural hair or extensions. Hood niggas that'll probably grip like some dentures. Brothers on them fences. 23 and 1 out. Praying that that commissary hit before it run out. Bitches on the gram, dog filter with their tongue out. Couldn't stay home because they found the dugout. Closed casket, burner in the low jacket. My co-captain, riding on these whole rappers. My hoes fabulous. Now I don't mean that derogatory, but I'm a player and there's no my women riding for me. I avoided Maury. I got 2 jits. If I can't make it through for them, then I'm useless. Sit down at roof, Chris, with a couple bosses. After the war, just to count our losses. It's not many. You see a smile on my face, but I'm not friendly. Gun on my waist, sipping white Henny. I just hope this shit go right. Living in the dark, you don't know like. Gotta got my heart with my bow tie. Waiting on the squad in my whole life. I just hope this shit go right. Living in the dark, you don't know like. Gotta got my heart with my bow tie. Living in this world in my whole life. It's so melodic. When I be dropping this ebonics, this ghetto phonics, it got me on the level supersonic. My bomb atomic, and you know where you can find me. Somewhere probably put in this paper origami. My name is pure as the Dasani. My wave is like a tsunami. I went from 0 to 100, feeling like Ricky Bobby. I made a deal with the Reaper. Got a couple wives, they some keepers. Talk a lot of shit, but you can't walk a mile in my sneakers. Bitches go to Miami, come home with change features. Now she got a BBL, her ass fatter. Trying to show up all them niggas that laughed at her. Now when they see her, they only wanna fuck her. They just wanna touch her. They don't wanna cuff her. They just wanna come and kick it with her like a punter. Turned her to a runner, now it's all aboard the train. Fenty on her face, but it's not concealing the pain. It's a shame. So I'm in the hood like some rap snacks. I know niggas kill you and your mama for a scat pack. Dark tint, matte black, they do it for half that. Had you like 90s, we see in a fucking trash bag. I'm from Philly. We don't do bank accounts, just cash app. I spit a verse and I just watch the time slow. This that guy flow, this that shit that rappers die for. This that uncut Taha Wall straight from Pablo Escobar. I be at the ball like Moscato. They think it's effort, but no, this that block work. Make the countermeasures, take pleasures making a hot hurt. Light is in the sky, cause every verse is a concert. My mind work at speed y'all can't fathom. Listen to the words of a champion. You can't, the streets need another anthem. I just hope this shit go right. Living in the dark, you don't know like. Gotta got my heart with my bow tie. Waiting on the squad in my whole life. I just hope this shit go right. Living in the dark, you don't know like. Gotta got my heart with my bow tie. Living in the squad in my whole life. My whole life.
Hey, Shalom, Israel, Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai, Barakathon. To the brothers watching, Yahweh Shamar, Alathon Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai. To the sisters, this is the ISUPK, started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yohana. And since 1969, we've been teaching the truth concerning the Bible. That so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians are the 12 tribes of Israel. This is Precinct Officer 500 Howamar, ISUPK, Kentucky. And this is what you didn't learn in history class, episode 5. Now, before we get into it, I want to welcome every so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian to the 54th annual Lord's Passover hosted by Commander General Yohana and the ISUPK. Saturday, April 1st, 500 South Salisbury Street at the Convention Center, Raleigh, North Carolina. And also, before we get into it tonight, I want to welcome everybody to check out ISUPK Kentucky. All of our content, Officer of 1,000, Asar Naqash, and his segments on Ask a Priest and Food for Thought. And I also want to shout out Officers Amawanga Bar and Ayasiyap Hayam, the ISUPK Kentucky podcast, Crowd Spare Not. All right, let's get into it. This is episode 5 of What You Didn't Learn in History Class. And what we finna get into tonight is some of the history that's been hidden on the North American Indian, the biblical tribes of Reuben and Gad. And I wanted to do this one because it's been a lot of history that's been hidden, the true history that's been hidden, and the identity of the North American Indian. So we've got a lot of images to get to you, and I've got a scripture for you at the end. So let's get into it. So a couple things to keep in mind when dealing with the North American Indian is how the history has been hidden. And there's a couple of different ways that our oppressor has hidden the history of the North American Indian. One of the first things they did is this image right here. This is from Rhode Island. Now, one of our oppressor's tactics is to attribute a structure like this or archaeological find like this and attribute it to a different culture, right? So with this one right here, our oppressor, they found this when they were coming over here, and the first thing they did was attribute it to the Vikings. Instead of attributing it to the actual people from here, they attributed it to the Vikings. So that's one of their tactics. So they'll attribute it to a different culture, like the Vikings or the Egyptians or the Phoenicians, right? They've even said aliens or giants built many of the structures that we're going to go over today. Now, something else that they did is they'll bury it, they'll destroy it and bury it and build something on top of it, or they'll destroy it and act like it never existed, or they just moved right into it and say this would be a great place for a library or a post office, and not tell you that this building is way older than what they told you it was, right? A building that they say they built in the late 1800s is really 500, 600, 700, 800 years old. So this image right here is from Rhode Island, and it's a structure that our oppressor has attributed to the Vikings. All right. Now, next one, we've all seen this image, right? It's the Capitol building. Now, this was from they were doing some restructuring to it back in the early 2000s, like 2003, 2004. And they found, if you look here in the middle, they found a structure underneath the White House, right? There's a structure underneath the White House. And that is, like I said, that's a tactic that our oppressor uses to hide the real history of the North American Indian. They'll bury a structure, they'll destroy a structure, and they'll build something right on top of it. Now, one of the key people that was in charge of hiding the history of the North American Indian was a man named Horace Greeley. Horace Greeley, if I may, Google Horace Greeley. He's one of the individuals responsible for working with the wing of the Smithsonian that hid the real history of the North American Indian. Now, this one right here, this is the Yamasee War that the Yamasee Indians fought against the Dutch in the early 1700s. Now, if you look closely at the images, you got a brother right here wearing a mitre, right? You got a brother with the mitre. He's got a full shield, and it looks like he's wearing a garment, right? You got a brother with the shield right here, swords, etc. It's a brother with a metal helmet right here in the middle, and this is the early 1700s. All right. All right. This is in Georgia. Now, a lot of times they like to hide the fact that there's mounds and pyramids all over North America, up and down the Mississippi, all across the southeastern United States. And this is just one of them in Georgia right here. Now, they like to attribute finds like this again to other cultures like the Phoenicians or the Egyptians. Anybody but the people that actually built them, anybody but the North American Indian, the biblical tribes of Gad and Reuben. All right, this one is another image from Georgia. Another image from Georgia. Another ancient site. Now, this one, our oppressor attributes this to the Confederate Army during the Civil War. They want to tell you that it was a so-called paper mill, right? But if you look at it from different angles, it looks like an ancient castle. Again, they like to attribute certain things to any other culture but the people that actually built them, because they have to push this savage myth, the myth of the North American Indian being a savage, in order to justify what was called manifest destiny. All right. This one is another mound from Georgia. Now, when you're dealing with mound culture, keep in mind that you never just have one, right? Mound culture, they had a myriad of mounds, right? And then they would have one central pyramid in the middle and then a town around it, right? So if you're only seeing one mound, like it's here in Georgia, that means they destroyed everything else around it. Again, they have to do everything in their power to hide the real history of the North American Indian. This is also in Georgia, right? It's a step pyramid in Georgia. Now, I thought that the North American Indian didn't build anything, right? We know about the great history of the Aztec. We know about the history of the Maya, the Inca, etc. But we rarely hear about pyramids, stone pyramids being built in North America, and this one's right here in Georgia. All right. This is another image from Georgia. A large mound in Georgia. And look how small the automobile is next to it. All right. Now, this is an image of a Cherokee, so-called Cherokee Indian. And you see another Mitri, right? Another Mitri. North American Indians, depending on what part of the country we're talking about, North American Indians were wearing Mitris. Now, I know a lot of people have seen this image here. This is a brother from New Mexico. And this is what they would do, right? After they get the hair cut off, after they get a suit put on them, right? And a lot of these people were used to actually push. A lot of these people were used to actually push the narrative of being a savage. We have the North American Indians had sellouts in their community, just like we do in the Black community and the Hispanic community. Individual you can look up is a North American Indian named Yellow Horse. And if you look up his bio, he was an actor. And he was one of the people that was used to push this savage image. All right, this is from New Mexico. And this is 500 years before Christopher Columbus. 500 years before Christopher Columbus. All right, this is another image of some more stone ruins in New Mexico, and this is 700 years before Christopher Columbus. All right, 700 years before Christopher Columbus, and it is ruins of an ancient monument. All right, we're still in New Mexico. Now we know that the North American Indians built dome structures, and I'm going to show y'all that shortly. The dome structure is actually where our oppressor got the idea for building his Capitol buildings. Now they want to say that the idea for the domes they got from London, but London didn't start building their first domes until the 1790s, the late 1790s. All right, the next image is another view of the same structure. Again, stone buildings built by North American Indians. All right, another image from New Mexico. This is the Los Lunas stone. This shows Hebrew writing. Shows Hebrew writing on a stone. Now, something else that our oppressor likes to do to hide the history of the North American Indian is they'll say that anything they find like this is fake. Anything they find like this is fake. But this is undeniable evidence, Hebrew writing in New Mexico. All right, strong brother here. This is Chief Oshkosh in Wisconsin. See the feather in the hat, and you see the fringes on the garment right here. Now, the reason you see North American Indians wearing fringes is because the North American Indian is an Israelite, one of the 12 tribes of Israel, chosen people of God. Now, this one here, this is an underwater pyramid. This is an image, this is an aerial view of an underwater pyramid in Rock Lake, Wisconsin. So there's pyramids underwater in Wisconsin. Here's another one. I've actually been to this one. This is near Milwaukee. This is near Milwaukee. Another mound structure. All right, this one's in Cahokia, Illinois. This is between on the border between Illinois and East St. Louis. Now, 240 years before Columbus, this city was more populated than London. So 240 years before Columbus's arrival, this was a metropolis in North America that was more popular than London. All right. Now we're going to get into some more history of Illinois right here. Now, on the left, this is a photo of Chicago from the early 1900s, right? Early 1900s. On the right is a painting from an oppressor named Thomas Cole. Now, Thomas Cole painted this in the early 1800s. I want to say like mid 1830s, right? Late 1820s, mid 1830s. Now, what's wild about this image is that this is supposed to be a fictional city, right? A fictional city that Thomas Cole just made up in his head, right? But it looks just like, if you lay it side by side, it goes right into an old image of Chicago in the 1900s. So tell me how Thomas Cole was painting an image of a fictional city in the early 1800s, but this is how Chicago looked in the early 1900s, and you can see it's the same city. You can see it's the same city. So that proves that the city of Chicago is older than what they're telling you it is. And if the city is older than what they're telling you it is, then who built the structures in Chicago? Who built these buildings in Chicago? Now, something else they'll tell you is that they built this, Esau built this just for the World's Fair and then tore it down a year later. You mean to tell me that they took all of the resources to build this up in 1 year and then tear it down after the World Fair was over with? Again, our oppressor is a bigger liar than you could ever possibly imagine. Now, this image right here is from Indiana. Another mound in Indiana. All right, now this is from Iowa. This is from Iowa, turn of the century, early 1900s. Now, a little bit about this picture here. If you look at what these three oppressors are doing, is they're laying the foundation for the city of Des Moines, Iowa. Des Moines, Iowa didn't exist as a city yet as far as downtown buildings are concerned. What these oppressors are doing right here in the front is they're laying the foundation for Des Moines, Iowa. But if you look in the back, there's a dome building that looks out of place. If the city didn't exist yet and they're just laying the foundation for the city in this image, what's this dome building doing in the back and who built it? Well, if you've been keeping up with what you didn't learn in history class, we know who built this dome building right here. Again, our oppressor will do anything they can to take away the real history of the North American Indian, to push their savage narrative to justify what they call manifest destiny. Now, this next image is an image of a group of Choctaw Indians. And if you look, there's no savages here, right? They're not running around naked with feathers, living in teepees. Look at these people here. They're fully clothed. Again, they have to do whatever they do to push this narrative of being a savage. So these are images right here that you have to dig through Google to find. All right. So this next image is from a book, right? Now, the reason I put this image in here is because I recently watched The Woman King, and I recently watched that Wakanda Forever that everybody's into, right? Everybody thinks Wakanda Forever is such a great movie. Everybody thinks The Woman King is such a great movie. I'm going to read from this book right here. Now, there's the title, right? It was written in 1906, January 1906, and I'll read the highlighted area. All right, it says the Dakota tribes, in the case of the Dakotan word, we have a very clear and trustworthy information as its use and real meaning. Thus, Mr. McGee, 15th report, U.S. Bureau of Ethnology, page 182, writes that among these tribes, the sun is Wakanda. So there it is right here. This is the source. Wakanda is a native Indian word. Wakanda is a native Indian word, and they got you fools walking around here doing this goddamn sign across your chest like here, like these Africans are really somebody special. But Wakanda is a native Indian word. Here's the source right here. All right, this is Casa Grande in Arizona. It's a 4-story tall, 60-foot wide stone building right in Arizona. And again, I'm showing these images because we've been led to believe for so long that the native Indians, the North American Indians, didn't build anything at all as far as stone structures. This is also in Arizona. Another stone structure, brick structure. All right, this is a castle. It's called Montezuma Castle. It's in Arizona. And this is 400 years before Christopher Columbus, an actual castle built by North American Indians right in Arizona. Now, I thought the history books just told us that North American Indians only lived in teepees. Why is there a castle in Arizona that's been dated to 400 years before Christopher Columbus? Again, this is what you didn't learn in history class, episode 5. All right. Another monument in Arizona. It's the ruins of what they believe to be a 100-room building. A 100-room building built 1,000 years before Christopher Columbus's arrival. 1,000 years before 1492. All right, another set of ruins from Arizona. Now, this is not an exaggeration. Archaeologists believe that this is the ruins of a 600-room mansion. A 600-room mansion 300 years before Christopher Columbus's arrival. $600-room stone brick mansion. All right. Again, this is what you didn't learn in history class, episode 5. All right, the next image I got for y'all. Next image I got for y'all. This is another structure from Arizona. More ancient ruins from Arizona. All right, another archaeological find in Arizona, dated to 250 years before Columbus. And it is a large complex, what they believe to be something similar to an apartment complex, large enough to host and house 1,000 people. So an apartment complex large enough for 1,000 people, and this is 250 years before the arrival of Christopher Columbus. All right. Now, this is an old map from the early 1500s. And it's showing a map of the 7 cities of Cibola. Now, it was believed that there were 7 golden cities called the 7 golden cities of Cibola. If I may, anybody watching, Google 7 golden cities of Cibola. It's supposed to be a fictional place, but it's on the map with the cities right here near the west coast of modern day United States. It's right here on the map. You don't put fictional cities on a map. All right, this is in Tennessee. This is what archaeologists believe is a buried ancient wall. Now, walls were common in North America. I'll get to it in a second. But walls are very, very common. Stone walls are very common in North America. Now, this is another find in Tennessee. This is the Back Creek Stone, proof that North American Indians spoke Hebrew. Proof that North American Indians spoke Hebrew. All right. Now, I mentioned that walls, large stone walls, were very common in North America. This is in Rockwall, Texas. This is actually where the city of Rockwall gets its name. Now, it was discovered back in the 1850s. It's never been fully excavated, but it's believed to be over 19 square miles and goes 100 foot deep into the ground. And again, it's only ever been partially excavated. Anytime people put money into it, it always ends up mysteriously covered back up. They don't want information like this to come out. But parts of this wall were actually torn down. Parts of this wall was torn down, and it was used to build other buildings in downtown Rockwall, Texas. This building right here was built by some of the remains of this wall. All right. Next image. I'm going to show y'all that Esau is a much bigger liar than we could ever possibly believe. We're all familiar with this image right here. It's supposed to be the so-called Confederate flag, right? I'm going to show you how big of a thief the Esau is. All right. Now, this is the Chickamauga Indians. Now, history will tell you that this set of Native American Indians adopted this flag when they joined sides with the Confederacy in 1853. right? They say that the Native Indians that joined with the Confederacy took on this flag in 1853. So if that's true, why do you see this same image painted on an ancient North American Indian statue, right? So this flag, this red, white, and blue flag with the blue cross with the stars on it, doesn't belong to Esau either. He's stolen more history than you can ever possibly believe. Here's the proof right here. All right, the next image, if I may, Google emblem of America. Google emblem of America, and you'll see a variety of images of North American Indians taken from the 1700s, 1800s, and you're not going to see this so-called savage that Esau has been telling us about all throughout school. All right. This is from Massachusetts. More writing. I thought the North American Indians aren't supposed to have writing. Now, something else, like I talked about, what our oppressor does to hide the history is they'll credit this to a different race of people. Like I said, they'll say the Vikings or the Phoenicians. They'll say giants did it. They'll even say aliens did it. Anything to take away the history of the Lord's chosen people. All right, this is from Florida. You see a throne? There's a throne here. You got the trees, North American Indians. You've got a dome building in the back. Again, Esau wants us to believe that they got the idea to build dome buildings from London, but London doesn't have its first dome building until 1793. This is from the 1600s. And if you look in the back, there's this crescent symbol above the buildings. Now, what is this? What is this crescent symbol? It's Baal. This crescent symbol is a symbol of Baal. So how did the Native American Indians know about Baal? Because the Native American Indians are a part of the northern kingdom of Israel that went into captivity in Assyria. That's how the North American Indians know about Baal. All right, another image. North American Indians. Brother has a metron with a feather in it. And he's sitting on what looks like a throne. You have the brother right here with the war crown. Other brother right here with a metron. All right, this is something else from Florida. 50-foot tall shell mound. It was used for navigation. Now, this is important. I said earlier that I've got proof of North American Indians in ancient Rome. Now, this is part of what they used for navigation. It was believed to be over 70 foot tall at one point, but we know that Esau likes to tear down everything that we do. Another image from North America. This is another image if you Google emblem of America. See the feathers, see the mitre, the feathered headdress, and you see the red flag. Now, this red flag was a common flag of the Seminole Indians, the biblical tribe of Reuben. All right, this map is from 1544. 1544. Now, keep in mind that the Spaniards haven't made it to the West Coast yet. Right, the Spaniards haven't made it to the West Coast yet, but they've got a dome building on the West Coast on the map from 1544. Again, I'm showing you dome buildings built by North American Indians. All right, another image from the West Coast, Pacific Oceans. Native Indians here from the West Coast. And there's another dome image. This is from Utah, 1893. Middle of nowhere, Utah, 1893. But they want you to believe that they built it. They want you to believe that we didn't build anything to push this savage narrative. All right. This one right here is a golf course built on top of an ancient site in Ohio. Now, that's a very common practice when dealing with our oppressors, that they will build golf courses on top of ancient North American Indian sites. All right, this is an image of a mound being destroyed. All right. Now, the highways in Ohio are actually built on top of ancient roads built by Native Americans in Ohio. Every highway in Ohio was built on top of a North American Indian road. You can look it up. If you don't believe me, just Google it. All right. So last thing I wanted to get into, I said earlier, I've got proof of North American Indians in ancient Rome. This is the source right here. This is written in 1886. Bronze Antiques. It's written in French, but I've got the English translation. All right. It says, a bust of slave completely shaved. His ears are large and drooping. The top of the skull opens by means of a hinge and forms a cover. Above the ears are placed rings in which there is a just and mobile handle representing a tree branch with knots. The shape of the skull, that of the nose, the mouth, and everything in this bronze recalls the red race of the New World. It's talking about the North American Indian. There is perhaps the image of some Guanche or Carib of the islands of the Atlantic Ocean. See about the Indians carried by the currents on the shores of Northern Europe and given as a present to Metellus Celer, proconsul of the Gauls, 60 BC, the testimony of Cornelius Nepos, quoted by Pomponius Mela by Pliny. This is the source right here. And this is the statue found in France, dated to 60 BC. North American Indians in ancient Rome. Bronze statue of a North American Indian in Rome, 60 BC. I just showed you the source. Now, a lot of people might say, well, how did North American Indians get to Rome? It's no problem. The ancestors of the North American Indians came here by boat from Assyria, right? If the ancestors of the North American Indians came to the Americas by boat after their captivity in Assyria, why can't they travel to ancient Rome in 60 BC? So here's the image. Here's the statue found in France. Here's the source. North American Indians in ancient Rome, 60 BC. So with that, we'll go ahead and end it. This is episode 5, which you didn't learn in history class. Shalom, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shah Barakatham, Yahweh Shemar Latham Ba'Shem Yahweh Shah. Class dismissed.